The smell of fresh cut grass, the sound of metal cleats scraping the pavement, and bright lights over a diamond of dirt are are a few of my favorite sensory images. This description may sound like baseball, and it honestly did start as baseball, but what I am talking about is softball. Although the sport is not ancient nor fresh, softball has been alive and growing from the 19th, 20th, and 21st centuries. It began on Thanksgiving Day in 1887 at the Farragut Boat Club in Chicago. 20 men gathered to watch the Harvard-Yale football game. Yale began to win, and a Harvard fan, George Hancock, became angry. He threw a boxing club at a Yale fan, and the Yale fan hit it with a pole. He tied the glove to look like a ball, broke a broom handle for a bat, and then drew a diamond on the gym floor, and they began to play a game. The game ended in a 41-40 victory by Yale. That same year, the game became an indoor winter league for baseball players to be able to keep practicing throughout off-season. The bats were given rubber tips so that the game could be played inside, and foul lines were officially painted at the boat club. In 1889, the boat club officially made the rules and regulations of the game after Lewis Rober had designed a smaller field with a softer ball outside of his home. The softer ball was so that the ball would go farther and create more offense, and the smaller field was for the same reason. He made the game 7 innings to keep a quick pace and for it to only last 1 hour. But not only was the sport for men, but also women. West Division High School in Chicago established the first women's softball team in 1895. This was a big deal because it was in the midst of a time where women were trying to gain freedom, and for them to be able to play a sport similar to men gave them a feeling of equality. Finally, after 8 long years, softball officially began in Toronto, Canada in 1897. The 20th century was filled with progression for the game of softball. In 1926, the game changed from the name kitten ball to diamond ball and finally ended with Walter Hackinson officially naming it softball. In 1933, a tournament was held at the World's Fair in Chicago, and in the first round of play, almost 70,000 people were recorded in attendance. Chicago teams won all 3 divisions, and taking home the men's title was the J.L. Freedman's Boosters, who had Hall of Famer Harry Rosen leading them. The first softball association was founded in 1934 and still lasts today. Leo Fisher and Michael Pauley were credited for creating the Amateur Softball Association, also known as the ASA. Today, they still lead softball and set the rules and regulations for almost all tournaments and games. From 1943 to 1945, though, softball was pushed to the side. The All-American Girls Pro Baseball League was created to keep baseball going while the men were off at World War II. It started as a mixture of softball and baseball, but ended more like baseball. It came to an end because it was drawing attention away from the MLB. In 1965, the first Women's Softball Association tournament was held in Melbourne, Australia. The game was played between Australia and America, and Australia came out with a 1-0 win, although Australia only had 2 hits and America had 4. In 1976, the International Women's Professional League was created, but soon folded in 1980. Similarly, in 1997, the Women's Pro Softball League was created and folded 4 years later again due to no financial support. The real highlight of women's softball came at the very end of the 20th century, though. The 1996 Olympics in Atlanta began the Softball Olympics. The gold medal in softball was presented to the United States in a 3-0 victory over China. And finally, in the 21st century, we see softball in the way that we play it today. Continuing with the Olympics, the 2000 Olympics, the U.S. had their first loss in 112 games to Japan. They went on to lose 3 consecutive games, but backfired when they won 5 consecutive games and took home another Olympic gold medal. In 2004, Sports Illustrated referred to the Team USA as the real dream team. They went on to win yet another gold medal. 2008 was the last year that softball had been played in the Olympics, and sadly Team USA did not leave with the gold, but yet they left with the silver. Thankfully, though, the Olympics has agreed to bring softball back in the 2020 Olympics. Softball today is a worldwide sport and comes in various forms of slow pitch and fast pitch and is played with both genders and many ages. The game of softball has affected the 19th, 20th, and 21st century from the way that it showed female equality to the pride it gave the USA. As Jenny Finch, my favorite softball player, said, "Failure allows growth and teaches us so much. Softball has taught me more about life than anyone ever could, and it's a blessing to get to play in college and look back on the development of it through time." That was me. That's it.